Welcome to the Wild Bradbury Podcast. This week, I bring you the very first podcast of 2020, and we are talking about revolutionizing the New Year resolution, the concept of resolutions, and what it does to us as homemakers, individuals, as adults, as perfectionists, as as masochists in my case, you name it, what it does to us, and how we can better prepare ourselves and give ourselves better resolutions for a more successful year, rather than setting goals for ourselves that we may or may not be able to actually achieve. And sometimes that's at no fault of our own, right? We have good intentions and poor time management skills, or good intentions and a slew of children, in my case, or good intentions and just not enough time in the day. And I think for most people, it comes down to needing a few extra hours in the day. How do you choose yourself, your fitness goals, your New Year's resolution goals, your mental health goals, your sex life goals over your children? And can you have both? Can you have all of it? And I'm here to tell you that you can. And though you're if you're watching this on YouTube or on the blog, you're probably, looking at my pregnant body and thinking, well, she's got plenty of work in 2020. And yes, I do. And we will talk about that, because there's a big difference between making a resolution that aids you and helps you on your ultimate year goals, and one that crushes your spirit, right? And we've all had that year where we didn't accomplish anything we set out to do on that resolution piece of paper. And some of that is totally controlled by us, and some of it's not. So first, I want to touch on the habits of successful people. And I'm not talking about money in this case, though I do imagine that financially successful people have impeccable time management skills. So I won't say I'm not talking about money. Maybe we are talking about money as well. For the most part, successful people know how to use their time to the best magnitude of the time that they're given. And here's what I mean by that. A lot of successful people go to bed early and get up early. A lot of successful people don't watch television. A lot of successful people they will pay extra for things that would cost them more than what their time is worth, if that makes sense. And I'm beginning to incorporate more of that into my life. We have finally financially reached a place where I can say, okay, it's worth the extra $50 for me to not have to do this every week. I will choose to go to the closer venue, not to save money, to save my time, because my time is the only currency that I own as a mostly stay-at-home mom who doesn't make an income per se. So, and I do believe that in most regards, your time, the monetary value of your time, is really the only thing that you own. You can choose what you want to do with your time. Even as a mother to soon to be 4 kids, my time is very heavily spent because I choose to allocate a certain amount of time to my children that a lot of people would not opt to do. For example, homeschooling. I could easily send them to school. We have a school 2 blocks from our house that most of the kids in our neighborhood walk to. I could send them to school. I choose to homeschool them because I believe that is ultimately a wonderful use of my time and a wonderful education for them if they are so receptive. Different conversation. But learning how to utilize your time is something that is no longer being taught to, well, really, I think it stopped being taught in our generation when we were children, us millennials, but which I think I still categorize as a millennial. I'm not up to beat on all of that, but it has definitely escaped our children's generation completely. I mean, to the max extreme. Earlier today, I was reading an article about entitled kids and habits that we have grown to be comfortable with that our parents would have never considered because it wasn't an option. I remember dial-up internet and pre-cell phones in cars. I remember my mother's car phone that had like the lovely Velcro bag and it was huge. I remember like it was yesterday. And that's all before we used electronics to babysit our children. And that's before we started playing videos and playing audiobooks to get out of sitting on the couch and reading to our children. That's before social interaction took place over some weird cyber world of gaming. My dad could never imagine that, nor could my mother. And somehow that piece of my upbringing has resonated long and hard within my parenting. Now, I'm not going to tell you that you're parenting wrong. That's not what I'm here to do. But I will say that because we use so many of those crutches in our parenting now, we have allowed our children to not know what it's like to be bored, to lose their ability to come up with creative ideas on their own in regards to making things, developing games. We have orchestrated play dates so extremely that our children never run into personalities that are unlike theirs. And they never have to develop coping skills or social skills to handle people that they don't naturally get along with. That's been a hot topic lately on our street here. But we are hindering our children in that way. So I'm going to wrap this back around to the main topic. But successful people don't do those things. Okay, successful people don't waste their time gaming normally, unless that's where their successes are. And they figured out how to use their time in a more productive manner. And I will say for my children, computer games, television, things of that nature are not a successful way to spend their time. It makes them irritable, exceptionally whiny, and though it gives me a brief break, and I am all about a good movie, I don't have an issue with technology. I have an issue with overuse of it. So, although it gives me a brief break, I pay for it in other ways, and my children will pay for it long term. So, I want to create habits in them that help them be successful as adults. And successful adults probably don't stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning gaming or binge watching their favorite show. Excuse me. Here's the other part. So resolutions. We have a habit of biting off more than we can chew. Or maybe a better way to phrase it would be to set our own expectations to something so extreme that we know that that's the ultimate goal. But for many people, reaching a goal like that takes years and not 12 months. So most of this week's podcast is about kind of just blowing those stereotypical thoughts about what resolutions are supposed to be like out of the water. For example, let me give you some examples. Most people start off their new year on a diet. Statistically, that is a huge thing. The fitness market waits for January 1st every year because people go out and buy brand new equipment and invest in all the programs. And decide that they're going to start this year out on the right foot, so to speak. Those are my air quotes for those not watching the video. But what happens is you don't get more time in your day to become healthy. You don't get more time in your day to run a marathon because that's what you chose to do. So from someone who works from sunup, S-O-N up, to sundown, I don't have 3 hours in there to work out. But what I do have is that hour to an hour and a half from 8 to 9:30 p.m. where I really, really want to check out and watch TV and numb my mind from the constant mom questions and the petting and stroking that happens with little kids, and just not be present for just a little bit. In years past, after I've had babies, that's when I do my best working out, so to speak, is I will get on a treadmill for that hour, an hour and a half, whatever it is. Something for a while there's from 8 to 10 p.m. given sleep schedules. And I will put on something mind-numbing on an iPad, and I will run until an episode is over. So that way I get the best of both worlds. I am utilizing my time for my mental health in order to check out, and my physical health, because I'm not sitting on the couch eating while I'm watching the show. But what I don't have is 3 extra hours in the day to work out and become a size whatever by next Christmas. That's not realistic for me or for most people. I really don't think that realistically very many people say January 1st, I'm going to lose 35 pounds this year and keep it off and manage to do it. Is it possible? Absolutely. If you have nothing else to do, it's very, very, very possible. But just because you made this astronomical goal for yourself does not mean that the time is magically available to do it. And that is the same in regards to everything. Everything. I don't get to not parent because I want to lose weight. I don't get to not fulfill any of my other duties or extracurricular activities because I need to be running. That's not an option, especially for me as a military spouse where my husband is gone a lot of the time. I don't get to call on him to pick up kids from sporting events. That's not a thing here. So really, I think that our New Year's resolutions should be things that are achievable. Like, I will spend my TV time working out, or I resolve to work out while I watch TV at 10 p.m. and you move that rowing machine inside or the TV out to the garage like I did. You take the iPad with you to the treadmill and you make that work for you. Or I resolve to make healthier food choices so that this ultimate goal can be achieved. That is totally doable. And you can do it for you and your family simultaneously. Those are real goals, guys. Those are real resolutions. Saying things like, I'm going to cut out chocolate forever is ridiculous. Why would you want to do that to yourself? I really strongly don't believe that, when you're 80 or 90 years old and you no longer care about your weight, that you're going to still feel like cutting chocolate and carbs out of your life forever was a great choice. Now, I understand that might fall under making healthy food choices for yourself as a resolution, as it should. But depriving yourself so that you're mentally unstable or constantly yearning for something or lacking contentment with every meal you have, or being irritable with your family because you're unhappy with yourself, because you're not meeting these astronomical goals, all of that is completely unnecessary. And now I'm going to tell you this from a plus size mom perspective. I've spent the last almost decade being pregnant and having babies by choice. Absolutely by choice. After each child, except for the one we lost in April, I've been able to get down to my pre-pregnancy weight, more air quotes, because even that was not the weight I wanted to be at. There's a saying that If I were as fat as the first time I thought I was fat, I'd be a fox, right? Um, you know, progress is progress. It really is. And my resolution for you this year, if you don't send it out into the universe for yourself, then I will send it out for you, is that you find contentment. That at the end of every day you say, I did the best I could do with the time I had today to meet my goals. And that might have been that, you ran instead of watching TV, or you chose to mentally feed yourself with a good book as opposed to watching whatever trashy TV show, or you opted to not go to that play date because really your kids couldn't handle it today and it wasn't something you wanted to put yourself through. It's okay to choose you. It really is. And I do realize that might sound hypocritical coming from a mom of so many small children to say, clearly I don't choose me most of the time. But I make time for my goals. I mean, here I am, right? The podcast was a huge goal of 2019. Essentially the only goal. My husband actually wrote it all down. I also don't write down my resolutions. It's not a freaking contract with the devil, guys. It's supposed to be goals that motivate you, not tear you apart. So he wrote down all my goals. And I think my goals were 1,000 followers, a podcast, at one point a healthy delivery of a baby, and he was healthy and I delivered him, but he's not here. So some of it is very much out of your control. I also can't will people to follow me. So 1,000 followers was just my moderate goal. If it happens, that's wonderful. If not, I'm not paying for them. So there you have that. Pushing out the podcast meant I had to learn a lot about topics that don't naturally interest me, i.e. coding. I don't like coding. So things that I'm not a huge fan of, like coding and, well, basically all of it. I want to share my story with you guys, and I want to hear your stories, and I want to make sure that at the end of the day, you know that you can turn on pretty much anything that I've recorded or written and feel a little bit better about your place in the world at the end of the day, because I'm so tired of seeing you all beat yourself up over not being enough. Real badasses set goals they can achieve and manage their time really, really well. And you are more than capable of being a badass like that in 2020. I personally choose not to waste my time on a whole lot of things. And within that realm of a whole lot of things comes a slew of people. So there will be tough choices that you have to make in the name of your physical and mental health and the health of your family. There will be, well, it's funny I say that right now. We are currently in the process of cutting out a neighbor because it's not worth my time anymore. And those are unfortunate situations because I really want it to be worth my time. I am one of those military spouses that move somewhere for 6 months and I will make lifelong friends with you. Every friendship is worth it. Okay, there's not any one person I've ever connected with that I regret connecting with. That kind of regret doesn't exist. Okay, and it's very important that you very diligently choose who and what to spend your time on. And that includes you and your goals and your resolutions that are real and tangible and doable on an hourly basis. In the next hour, what will you spend your time doing? And if your answer is doing whatever, gaming, etc., then do it while you walk. Do it while you're standing outside in the sun. Do it while you're simultaneously coloring. Figure out some other outlet for your mental and physical health so that you can hit your overall goals for 2020. I really, really hope that you all enter this new decade with a fresh start feel for yourself and your family. 2019 was a heck of a year for this family, one that I could not wait to be over, one that I feel like I wished most of it away because of our situation this past spring. But it doesn't have to be that way. You know, you can really make the life you want. It does take a lot of work though, but it all begins and ends with time management skills and developing good habits of successful people. And you may not know a bunch of successful people off the top of your head, personally know them. I mean, we can all list celebrities, but that just because they're celebrities and they're financially wealthy does not mean that they are successful. Habits of successful people begins and ends with their time management and how and who they let into their lives and how they allow themselves to spend their time. One thing that people do who are successful, and I'm including myself in that, I do this very well. I choose how I allocate my time. And if I need more time, then I will demand help from people, from my children, from my spouse, etc. Because my time doesn't grow and my goals don't get smaller just because someone wants to waste my time. So wasting my time is not an option, and that is my boundary, and that is where the beginning and the end of my friendship will end. Essentially, the beginning and the end of my friendship, because if you waste my time, then it's not going to work out, and that's just how it is. You do get to choose. Despite how you're feeling right now about this podcast, every day you get up and you get to choose how you're going to use your time. And I am the first person to tell you to sit down and have a cup of coffee. But while you're doing that, you should make your to-do list of how you want to dominate the day. All right. Thank you for listening, guys. I will talk to you soon. And have a wonderful, wonderful new year and a safe new year. And make resolutions that you can actually stick to. Bye.